October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Just this week, a local man, Robert Harrison, was sentenced to life in prison after he kidnapped and shot his ex 8 times outside her work at a local hospital.
Incredibly, she survived, but the attack was not a surprise. The woman had asked for help. She had gotten a victim protective order, or VPO, hoping that would help keep her safe.
VPOs come with a requirement to give up your guns, but that did not happen here. And as my investigation discovered, that rarely happens. And so I wanted to know, if that is the law, then why not?
But I know they were a sweet family, and I'm so awfully sorry.
We have seen it too often. Victims attacked or killed, allegedly by a person who'd been served a VPO, a victim protective order.
One woman was shot 9 times Friday evening as she was leaving work by her alleged ex-boyfriend.
Data collected by the state's Domestic Violence Fatality Review Board show there were 26 lives lost to intimate partner violence in 2021. Protective orders were up that year in the 2 systems that track them. OSCN, the Oklahoma State Courts Network, showed nearly 19,000 protective orders filed, up 7.6% from 2020. Vine, the Victim Information and Notification Everyday System, showed 22,500 protective orders filed in 2021, an 8.4% increase.
In order for a protective order to be effective, a lot of people have to do the right thing.
Brandon Pasley works here at YWCA and has been advocating for domestic violence victims for more than 2 decades. He says VPOs can be very effective, but they also have limitations. One of those limitations, he says, is the lack of enforcement on the VPO's gun regulation.
I think we need to take a really close look at the firearms aspect of what we do.
Federal law requires the person served with a VPO to give up their guns to local law enforcement. But in our KOCO investigation, we found that rarely happens.
Are we taking those guns? What's happening with the offenders who have guns? You know, the majority of those domestic violence homicides are committed with firearms.
Pasley says he does not have concrete statistics, but based on his experience, he believes gun owners served with VPOs give up their guns less than 10% of the time. And law enforcement is not actively taking them. They say their hands are tied legally when it comes to enforcing the no gun requirement.
That's all we can do, is notify them that that is a violation of the order, as the judge has said it, and they must comply with that order or it can result into a criminal matter.
Sergeant Monique Dan serves VPOs regularly as part of her duties with the Civil Division of the Oklahoma County Sheriff's Office. She says even if the court order indicates the person likely has weapons, there's not much they can do other than serve them the papers and tell them the law.
It could be alleged in the petition, and we go over that. If firearms are in your possession, you must turn them over to your local law enforcement.
And they'll say, okay, thank you?
And I ask if they understand, and yes.
Do you ask at that time, do you have weapons?
No, we do not.
Sergeant Dan says it is very rare for a person being served with the VPO to hand their weapons over then and there, and enforcing the no-gun requirement is challenging for other law enforcement agencies as well. Local police say they cannot search a VPO recipient's home for weapons, not without a warrant. And Master Sergeant Gary Knight with the Oklahoma City Police Department says because the gun rule is a federal statute, not state or local, it adds an extra layer of difficulty.
When there's a firearm involved or a violation by holding on to a firearm, that's a federal crime, but our investigators will turn that case over to the assistant U.S. attorney at that point, and they will work with them on that case to prosecute it if the U.S. Attorney's Office decides that it's a credible case.
The U.S. Attorney's Office says that does happen on occasion, that they've actually stepped up efforts recently to prosecute repeat violent domestic abusers on federal gun crimes, including the crime of having a gun while on a VPO. But as KOCO learned, there is no consistent effort to ensure VPO recipients are turning in their guns before they can use them.
When you look at the data, when you look at the percentage of those homicides that are committed with firearms and what removing those, what the impact could be across the board, I think we need to look at that.
But while victim advocates like Pasley want to find a way to increase enforcement, some gun rights advocates say the VPO regulations already go too far.
You still have to have the protection of the rights, because we know not everyone that goes into a court, not everyone that makes a complaint is honest.
Don Spencer is the president of the Oklahoma Second Amendment Association. He says Oklahoma's constitutional ban on red flag laws should make the VPO's no gun requirement obsolete. VPOs are issued by a judge, but Spencer says those hearings are not the same as a trial.
The right of due process for any person to have property taken away from them without going through an official court proceeding and completing that proceeding is unconstitutional.
But gun debate aside, do VPOs work as they stand right now? Pasley says they can, and they do for many people, despite their limitations.
Protective order is not a silver bullet. It's not a magic wand. You know, I don't like it when people describe them as worthless pieces of paper, because I disagree. They can be powerful tools.